Hi, good evening everybody. In this video we're going to look back at the Lafontaine era, specifically the 1992-93 playoff roster of the Buffalo Sabres. Coming up. Alright, shout out goes to Bullet versus Red. Bullet, I'm going to do more focusing on the 92-93 Buffalo Sabres team for this video. I know that you requested a Lafontaine era. I think this is the best route to go because this is the team we're going to remember the most, of course, because of the Mayday goal, you know? And we'll look back at some of these guys, where they are, what happened, of the information I got. Not all of them I have. So what I could find, I kept and I clipped it out. We'll take a look at it. So we're going to start first with Alex Mogilny. Now, the legacy Mogilny left. He was the first Russian and non-North American to be an NHL captain, the first Russian named to an NHL All-Star team, and holds the highest single-season goal total and the second highest single-season point total for a Russian player. He is, as of the end of the 2018-2019 season, but I believe still is, the third highest Russian scorer in the history of the NHL. Mogilny was the second Russian player to reach 1,000 points in the NHL, hitting the milestone just a few days after Sergei Fedorov. His 1993 tie with Teemu Selanne, the 76-goal season of Finland, made them the first non-North Americans ever to lead the NHL in goals scored. And what has happened since his career? Mogilny, who retired following the 2005-2006 season, returned to Russia, began consulting for his hometown team, Hawerchuk of the KHL, and Admiral Vladislavchuk of the KHL hired him as president in 2013, and he went back to Hawerchuk to become its president. Still holds the title now. There you go. So he's a president of a hockey team in the KHL. There's something I didn't know. Funny looking back, when we see these guys. How it's so short-lived, NHL careers, my God. All right, next. Let me try and get this right, guys. We'll go with Bill Houlder. Okay. Now, Houlder was drafted by the Capitals in the 4th round, 82nd overall, the 1985 entry draft. After playing 3 seasons with the North Bay Centennials of the OHL, Houlder joined the Capitals during the 87-88 season. After going back and forth between Washington, their AHL affiliate, Baltimore Skipjacks, for 3 seasons, Houlder was traded to Buffalo before the 1990-91 season in exchange for Sean Anderson. Houlder remained with the Sabres until being selected by the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim in the 1993 NHL expansion draft. He played for, he played for 1 season. He played for St. Louis, Tampa, San Jose, Tampa Bay, Nashville. It says Tampa here twice. Go figure that out. No, then Tampa again. Okay, so he played on Tampa, San Jose, back to Tampa, okay, and then Nashville. Houlder retired after 2002-2003 season as a Predator. Appeared in 846 career games. Bob Corkum. We're going to go through the roster, the playoff roster of 93 guys, so I'm going to make it as quick as I can, okay? Now, Corkum represented the U.S. at the 1987 World Junior Ice Hockey Championships. After playing 4 seasons, University of Maine, Corkum debuted with Buffalo's American Hockey League affiliate, the Rochester Americans, in the 1989-90 season. He appeared in 8 regular season games and 5 playoff games with the Sabres in 89-90. And then after playing for the Americans and the Sabres for the next 3 seasons, Corkum was chosen by the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim in the 1993 expansion draft. And we'll go on. We'll go down a bit further here and skip some of this. In August of 2008, it was announced that Corkum will be returning to alma mater to become the associate coach of the University of Maine. He spent the majority of his previous 4 seasons coaching junior hockey in the EGHL. On April 30th, 2013, USA Hockey named Corkum the head coach of Team USA for the tournament, the Ivan Halinka tournament, memorial tournament that was in that year. And that's about all I found on him. Bob Errey, who many of us might remember. Errey played most notably for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but also for the Buffalo Sabres, San Jose Sharks, Detroit Red Wings, Dallas Stars, New York Rangers. He won 2 Stanley Cups as a member of the Penguins in their first 2 cups. He was also a member of Team Canada in the 1997 gold medal team, championships team, that is. He appeared in the 1995 finals with Detroit, and with the year Detroit got swept by New Jersey. And with the Penguins, he originally wore number 10, then settled number 12. We don't really need to know that. Errey served as captain of the San Jose Sharks in 93-94. He's currently a TV color analyst for the Pittsburgh Penguins on AT&T Sportsnet. Bob Sweeney. Let me open it up. Following 6 seasons with Boston, Sweeney was claimed off waivers by the Buffalo Sabres in 1992 and then by the Islanders in 1995. After being traded to the Calgary Flames during the 95-96 season, Sweeney retired from the NHL. He spent the next season in the IHL before traveling across the Atlantic to play for the EIS Hockey Liga from 1997 to 2001. He is currently the executive director of the Boston Bruins Foundation. Funny how some of these guys find their way back to their original teams, eh? Brad May, and we all remember him. May was drafted by the Buffalo Sabres, 14th overall. A lot of people might not know that. He was a first rounder. In the 1990 NHL entry draft, while not a prolific scorer, May contributed to the Sabres' history in his second full season with the team. In Game 4 of the opening round of the 1993 Stanley Cup playoffs against the Boston Bruins, the teams were tied at 5 and required overtime to decide a winner. May took a pass from a falling Pat Lafontaine at center ice, deked past Ray Bourque, went on goal where he faked out Andy Moog, which caused him to fall and leave an open space for May to score on a wrist shot. The goal not only won the game, but secured Buffalo's upset of the second best team in the NHL. See, I thought they were the best team in the NHL that year. There you go. They were the second best. I remember them being first. The goal is referred to informally as the May Day goal, thanks to the following call by Sabres voice Rick Jeanneret. He was later traded by the Sabres to the Vancouver Canucks for Jeff Sanderson, February the 5th, 1998. Colin Patterson. What do I got on Colin Patterson? Well, Patterson problems returned in 1890. Yeah, he had a lot of injuries, problems. Patterson's season was ended when he broke his ankle in 1990. He attempted to return 1991 season, and then he suffered from torn knee ligaments. God, I remember this guy having issues. A game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The injury caused him to miss the entire regular season, and he returned to appear in only 1 playoff game. Unsure how Patterson would return after missing the season, the Flames opted to trade him to the Buffalo Sabres prior to the 91-92 Buffalo season. Buffalo acquired him in the hopes that his character and success with Calgary would help the Sabres. Patterson played 2 seasons in Buffalo, recorded 18 points in 88 games. He then opted to play out his final professional season in Europe in 1994. He finished his career at 96 goals, 205 points in 504 games. And that's about it for Colin Patterson, really. Not much on some of these guys. Hard to find some of the information. And Dale Hawerchuk. Hawerchuk became president, director of hockey operations. I'm going past his career now. We remember his career. So I went with him. I went past his career. Director of hockey operations and primary owner of the Ontario Provincial Junior A Hockey League's Orangeville Crushers in 2007. He left this position in 2010. On June 4, 2010, Barrie Colts of the OHL named Hawerchuk as their head coach and director of hockey operations. The 2010-2011 season was a rebuilding one for the Colts, as the team went 15-49-2-2, missing the playoffs for the first time in their history. In his sophomore year, 2011-2012, Hawerchuk amassed a record of 40-23. Wow, 1 year later. A significant improvement over his rookie season as bench boss of the Colts. He was born in Ontario, grew up in Oshawa. And in 2019, as we all know, Hawerchuk announced he would be taking leave of absence for the Colts for health reasons, which was later to be revealed stomach cancer. Hawerchuk completed a course of chemotherapy in April 2020, passed away August 18, 2020 at the age of 57. Gone but not forgotten, eh? My God. Life passes by right so fast, guys. It really does. Now, who do I got next? Next I got, Dave Andreychuk I got on there, even though he wasn't in the playoffs, because he was a big part of the 92-93 team. He's the only guy that was not on the playoff roster, guys, just so you know, okay? But Andreychuk, we traded him that year. And, I think he should be remembered because Mogilny, Lafontaine, and Andreychuk were on pace to be the first line in NHL history to get 50 goals each, so we should remember him. Not much on him, though. I just a brief clip here. In 2005, the city of Hamilton renamed the Mountain Arena following renovations to the Dave Andreychuk Mountain Arena and Skating Center in his honor. In November 2008, he was inducted into the Buffalo Sabres Hall of Fame. On February the 4th, 2011, the Tampa Bay Lightning named Andreychuk as their vice president in charge of fans. He currently serves as the Lightning's vice president and corporate and community affairs. I wanted to put Andreychuk in there. I just thought it would be the right thing. Now, where are we next? Where are we next, folks? Dave Hannan, who we all remember for one big goal in '94. Hannan's junior hockey career was divided between the Windsor Spitfires, Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, and Brantford Alexanders. He was drafted in the 10th round, 196th overall. God, eh? Some of these guys, it's funny, eh? He had such a big moment in his career. It's funny. Of the 1981 entry draft by the Pittsburgh Penguins, his best stat season in the NHL was 1985-86, in which he recorded 35 points in 75 games with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Here it is. He is best remembered for a goal he scored while a member of the Buffalo Sabres on April 27, 1994, during the fourth overtime in a scoreless Game 6 of a playoff series at Buffalo's Memorial Auditorium. He backhanded a shot past New Jersey's Martin Brodeur to force Game 7 in New Jersey. Hannan's final NHL season was 1996-97, in which he played 34 games for the Ottawa Senators before hanging him up. The Dominator. Let me open this one. This will take a few minutes. Hold on, guys. In 9 seasons with the Buffalo Sabres, Hasek acquired over 25 franchise records, including the most all-time games played, wins, shutouts, and lowest goals against average. He also holds the Sabres record for most shutouts in a single season with 13 in 1997-98. And lowest goals against average in a single season with a total of 1.87 goals against in 1998-99. During the Detroit Red Wings championship run of 2002, Hasek set franchise records for most games played, minutes played, wins, and shutouts in a playoff season. He also holds several notable NHL records. His all-time records, in the NHL, he has the highest career save percentage in NHL history at .922. Career, not season, career. He's the second all-time in games played by a European-born goaltender. He's 6th in NHL with most shutouts. He's 7th with the lowest goals against average all-time at 2.20. He's 11th with the most wins with 389. So goals against of 2.20, save percentage of .922 for a career. My God. And you can forget the wins and shutouts, really, because you know what I mean? He really played on a lot of average teams, guys. He really did. Regular season, he's the first European goalie to ever lead the NHL in goals against in the 1993-94 season. He accomplished that. First goalie since 1974 to have a goals against below 2. I believe Bernie Perron was the last one, I believe. And he had the most shutouts in 1 month with 6 in 1997-98, and I believe that was in December, if I'm right. That is crazy. 6 shutouts in a month. My God. Playoffs. All time, he's second place with the most shutouts in one season in the playoffs, 6. Third place with the most shutouts total, 15. 10th place with the most wins, 61. One of the most impressive single-game performances by any player in NHL history came on April 27, 1994. Hasek made 70 saves in a 4-overtime shutout. The opposing goalie was Marty Brodeur, then a rookie who made 49 saves before being beaten by Dave Hannan, and the Sabres beat New Jersey 1-0, which helped the Sabres to tie the series 3-3 in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hasek's 70 saves set a record which still stands, the most saves in a game. It was for the most saves in a game without allowing a goal. Okay, let's not confuse that. All right, we're past Dominik Hasek. My God, my goodness, what a story he was, eh? All right, let me get back here. Donald Audette, folks. Donald Audette. Let me open it up. He was drafted in the 9th round. I was surprised when I read this. I always thought Audette was a high pick. I don't know why, I did. 183rd overall by the Buffalo Sabres. Despite his small stature, Audette became known for his gritty, feisty style. Sounds good, doesn't it? And quickly endeared himself to Buffalo hockey fans with the 31-goal rookie season. However, his rough and tough style of play led to lengthy trips to the injury reserve, including knee injuries that ended his 1992 and 1995-96 seasons. 1992-93 and 95-96, sorry. In 1998, Audette was traded to the LA Kings 2 years later. As a member of the Atlanta Thrashers, he reached career high in goals, 34, assists, 45, and made it to the NHL All-Star Game. Audette was then traded back to the Buffalo Sabres in March 2001 and signed a multi-million-dollar contract with the Dallas Stars later that summer. In the middle of the 2001-2002 season, Audette was traded again, this time to the Montreal Canadiens. In a game against the New York Rangers on December the 1st, 2001, Audette had the tendons on his forearm severed by an opponent's skate and required life-saving surgery to repair extensive damage, but still managed to recover in time for the playoffs. I thought that was interesting. Doug Bodger. My goodness, guys. I'm trying to move it. As a top prospect, Bodger was expecting to be selected early in the draft. He had earlier conversations with the Detroit Red Wings, who told Bodger there was a 90% chance they would pick him 7th overall, going so far as to ask he wear a red tie to match the team colors. I'd have to see a video of that. My God. However, the Red Wings instead chose Sean Burr. Instead, the Penguins made Bodger their second choice of the draft. Then they had selected Mario Lemieux, who would become one of the greatest players in NHL history, first overall, of course. Let's see, is there anything else here? Bodger made his NHL debut alongside Lemieux. He started his career with Lemieux on the ice. Imagine that. In 1984 with the Boston Bruins, a shoulder separation limited his first season to 65 games. Blah, 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 blah. He would retire December the 14th, 1999 with the Vancouver Canucks as the highest scoring defenseman from British Columbia. I guess, I don't know if that still holds. I don't know. I got Grant Fuhr in there because he was in our nets. The Hasek era was about to start, and the Fuhr era was about to end, right? So on September 19, 1991, Fuhr was traded from the Toronto Maple Leafs in a 7-player deal. After a season and a half in Toronto, he was traded again, this time to the Buffalo Sabres on February the 2nd, 1993. In Buffalo, he played a role in the Sabres' dramatic first-round victory over the Boston Bruins, helping instill a winning attitude in the organization, and mentored a still relatively inexperienced Dominik Hasek. Fuhr had a successful 93-94 season with the Sabres, initially sharing goaltending duties with Hasek. Hasek became full-time starting goaltender after Fuhr suffered multiple injuries. Fuhr and Hasek were awarded the Jennings Trophy for the fewest goals allowed. And we're coming around the corner, guys. And who do I got next? Grant Ledyard. Ledyard made his debut in 1984-85 with the Rangers. A journeyman, played 9 NHL teams. God. He spent more time with the Buffalo Sabres and the Dallas Stars, 4 full seasons each. He also played for LA, Washington, Vancouver, Boston, Ottawa, and Tampa. My God. His last NHL season came with the Lightning in 2001-2002. In his NHL career, Ledyard appeared in 1,028 games. He made 1,000 games. He scored 90 goals, added 276 assists. He played in 83 Stanley Cup playoff games, scoring 6 goals and 12 assists. Ledyard currently lives in the Buffalo area and was recently awarded head coach position of the Buffalo Junior Sabres, which I didn't know. Keith Carney. And I'm going to go through this one quickly. I'm just going to pick some things on it because it's a long one and I don't want to do the whole thing. He was drafted 76 overall in 1988 by the Buffalo Sabres after attending Mount St. Charles Academy. He then played University of Maine, and he made his debut against the New York Islanders. 2 weeks later, he scored his first goal against the Chicago Blackhawks after playing 14 games that rookie season. Then we got a bunch of things, though, because, you know, he had been traded, his signings like that. But I'm just going to go down because there wasn't much to find on him except a bunch of stuff with dates and stuff. It wasn't really important stuff, really. In September 2009, this is far, you know, he accepted an invitation to the Vancouver Canucks main training camp to earn an NHL contract. After further reflection, he decided instead to retire for a second time. Oh, yeah, it's come and gone, the career, guys. Ken Sutton. Got a handful left here, guys. He began his career with the Rochester Americans, where he was told he would play for 2 seasons before being called up to the Buffalo Sabres in 1991. He stayed with Buffalo until he was traded to the Edmonton Oilers for Scott Pearson, April the 7th, 1995. Sutton was then traded to Jersey. We'll keep going from there. Not much more in Sutton, guys. Just some transactions and not much more. We'll skip that. There really isn't much there. It was hard to find information on these guys. It wasn't easy at all. It really wasn't. Matthew Barnaby, our buddy, who the Capitals fans don't like. After 7 seasons with the Sabres organization, during the 1998-99 season, Barnaby was traded by the Sabres to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for Stu Barnes, who was a big fan favorite also. On March 11th, 1999, one of the most celebrated fights came the following season in 2000 against his former Sabre teammate Rob Ray after dining out with Rob Ray the previous night. So get this, he actually, Jesus, they went out for dinner the night before because they're friends, right? We know they're friends, but they're both crazy too. And they went out for dinner the night before, and the next day they're fighting on the ice. God, I miss those days, man. Barnaby played in 129 games with the Penguins, and he was traded in exchange for Wayne Primo. In 2000, here's where I wanted to get to. On July 2nd, 2004, Barnaby signed a 3-year contract with the Blackhawks. And yeah, here it is. He, suffering from a year of hiatus, he was subsequently bought out of his contract following the season. Barnaby, again a free agent, signed a 1-year deal with Dallas. And in 2006-07, Barnaby recorded 300 points. Struggling with the effects of concussion, Barnaby announced his retirement from hockey 2007. That's what I was trying to find. We'll stop it there. Pat Lafontaine. There we go. Pat Lafontaine. In 1997, Lafontaine founded the Companions of Courage Foundation, an organization that builds interactive game rooms in children's hospitals. I never knew this. Very interesting. You know, it's funny what some of these guys do behind the scenes, eh? In 2000, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society bestowed the Patriot Award on Lafontaine in recognition of his contribution to military morale throughout his career. In 2002, Lafontaine was given an honorary goal Award, sponsored by the Points of Light Foundation for having overcome depression and lived in the community through volunteer work. So he did that. He lived in an area that he was doing volunteer work. That's really commendable, you know. In 1998, he was honored with the Public Leadership and Neurology Award for his work and the public awareness of concussion in sports, which he might have been one of the first guys in the NHL to really, really push it, if you recall, you know. That's what I remember about Lafontaine back then, how he was really starting to push to make this people aware. In 2003, Lafontaine was recognized with the International Humanitarian Award for the Gift of Life Foundation, by the Gift of Life Foundation, an organization promoting the cure and treatment of children suffering from heart disease in third world countries. What an amazing life this guy's had, eh? In March 2004, Lafontaine was inducted in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame at a ceremony in Detroit. In March 2005, he was named recipient of the James Keller Award by the Christopher's Organization. Since 1987, the award has been recognized by individuals who have contributed in a meaningful way to the well-being of young people. In 2007, Lafontaine was inducted in Nassau County Sports Hall of Fame. You know, it goes on and on. Lafontaine it's so much here, you know. He get this. This I thought was cool too. In November 2008, he participated in the 6th career Ironman triathlon event in Panama City, Florida. He swam 2.4 miles, rode a bike 112 miles, and ran a 26-mile marathon as a fundraiser for his charity. Oh, God. In March 2012, Lafontaine coached his son and a group of teenagers from Long Island, under 16 tournament. Okay, Lafontaine. Look at this. Lafontaine was invited to the Vatican and participated in a Sport and Service of Humanity, the first global conference of faith and sport, as a guest of Pope Francis in 2016. It's just incredible, some of the stuff that, it's mind-blowing, really, how active this guy was after hockey. It's really cool to see. All right, a few left, guys, 4 to be exact, and they're pretty short now, I think, from this point on. Randy Wood. 1986-87, Wood joined the AHL team, Springfield Indians, and scored 47 points over 75 games. He was then called up to the Islanders. At that time, he scored 1 goal over 6 games. He routinely was sent back and up and down and for the next 3 years until he became a solid spot on the roster from 88 to 92. Then he got traded to the Buffalo Sabres. After spending 3 seasons in Buffalo, Wood was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs, then the Dallas Stars, and then for his last season of his career back on the Islanders. Not much to report there. Richard Khmylev. Khmylev joined the Sabres for the 1992-93 season. After playing there for 9 seasons, he left via free agency to Atlanta, like I mentioned earlier there. I'm sure I mentioned that in something else, unless I'm just going tired here, guys. At the trade deadline of 2002-2003, Khmylev was then traded to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for a draft pick. Khmylev would go on to win the Stanley Cup that season with the Devils. He retired the following season. So there you go, you know. Lafontaine didn't win a cup. Richard Khmylev did, you know. The Stanley Cup has no mercy, guys. Wayne Priestley. He is from Dearborn, Michigan, raised in Taylor, Michigan, and as a youth he played in a 1978 Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament. Goes on here. And his best statistical season, I believe, was with Chicago. I read that before. He played 684 career games, 155 goals, 147 assists for 302 points, which probably get him $10 million a year now. Priestley also represented the United States at the 1987 Canada Cup. And last but not least, Yuri Khmylev. And it's kind of fitting Khmylev's the last guy. I'll tell you why. Because I remember in Game 4, before Montreal swept us in that playoff, you might recall we pulled the goalie and we scored with 10 seconds left to force Game 4 in overtime to stay alive, and Khmylev was the guy that got the goal. At least that's my memory of it. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm sure I'm not, though. Following a brief stint with the HC Freiburg of the Swiss National League in 1997-98, Khmylev returned to North America for his final professional season. 1998-99, he suited up for St. John's Maple Leafs of the AHL, where he amassed 33 points, 48 games. Khmylev returned to Buffalo following his retirement and is now an amateur scout with the Buffalo Sabres. He has a wife, daughter, and they play tennis, which we don't really care about, and now works at the Harbor Center in Buffalo and is Academy of Harbor Center and his video presentator IHF. Yeah, that's about it. So he became a scout with the Sabres. And that is a look back at what's going on, what happened, where they're at. Some of them I couldn't find nothing on that. It was a little tricky because I just wanted to reflect back on these guys. They gave us some of the best memories. A lot of you guys were kids when Brad May scored the goal, right? And I think we're always going to remember the Lafontaine era from this particular team, even though they weren't a powerhouse. But this was the team that we're always going to look back and remember because of the big Lafontaine season and the big Mogilny season and so on. A lot of good memories for this guy. Looking back, I have a hard time believing, guys, it's almost 30 years ago that happened. Really, like, it's 29 years ago, this coming playoff, that this happened. 29 years. Blows me away. It just does, how fast, time stands still for no man, I say. So, all right, I'm going to leave it there. This has been long enough for those of you that stuck around and heard it out. And hopefully it brought back some good memories for you. And I'll see you in the next video.